Every night, when the clock strikes 12, the dolls in the old Victorian house on Willow Street come to life, not to play or dance, as in children's tales, but to relive their terrifying past. Welcome to the Dreadful Dollhouse, a place where innocent faces of porcelain hide chilling secrets and dark tales that spill into the real world once the sun dips below the horizon. Tonight, we delve into the enigma of this eerie abode, where the line between the inanimate and the animate is as fine as the spider's silk. In the quaint little town of Marshfield, there stood a dollhouse, a replica of the grand Victorian mansion that towered next to it. Crafted by Jonathan Mayfair for his daughter, Emily, in the late 1800s, the dollhouse was no ordinary toy. Each figurine, each piece of miniature furniture, was a testament to Jonathan's love for his child. But as the days rolled into months, something shifted within those tiny walls. The townspeople would often talk about the strange occurrences surrounding the Mayfair residence, whispers of moving shadows and unexplainable. Laughter echoed through the halls. One tragic night, a fire engulfed the mansion, taking Emily with it. The dollhouse, miraculously unscathed, was all that remained. Generations passed, and the legend of Emily and her dollhouse turned into a mere bedtime story until the Henderson family moved in. They were a modern bunch, with no room for superstitions until their youngest, Lily Henderson, stumbled upon the antique dollhouse in the attic. Here begins our dark tale, with Lily, aged 7, who loved nothing more than to play with the dollhouse every night before bed. But this nightly ritual was about to take an ominous turn. One particular evening, Lily's father, Michael, went to bid her goodnight and found her unusually pale, with a tight grip on the dollhouse. "Everything all right, Lily?" he inquired. Her voice was but a whisper. "Daddy, the dolls, they speak when it's dark." Skeptically, Michael chuckled, attributing the claim to his daughter's vivid imagination. After checking the locks on the windows and tucking her in, he left Lily with a kiss on her forehead, unaware of the true horror that lay within. That miniature house. As the night deepened, Lily's parents awoke to her blood-curdling scream. They ran to her side, finding her pointing at the dollhouse where the figurines, once scattered about in playful disarray, were now positioned in a circle, their painted eyes staring outward. But it was the doll that stood at the center that seized their attention, the one that bore an uncanny resemblance to their daughter, with its hair chopped short and a frenzied look painted on its face. Each consecutive night saw a new terror unfurl. The family began to see apparitions, troubled spirits that mimicked the doll's positions. The cook, Mrs. Thorne, saw a figurine holding a tiny silver knife. That same evening, she found herself locked in the pantry, the sharp edge of a real knife grazing her throat with no hand to wield it. The maid, Eliza, whispered of a doll dressed in mourning. And the very next day she was inconsolable, having received news of her mother's passing. It was clear. The dollhouse was reenacting tragedies, prophesying events, or maybe inviting them. Desperate for answers, the Hendersons sought the help of a local historian who uncovered diaries belonging to Jonathan Mayfair. The entries detailed his final project, the dollhouse, and his regret for using materials from an ancient burial ground. It seemed that with each stroke of his chisel, Jonathan had carved a channel for the restless spirits to enter our world with his beloved daughter. Becoming the first to be ensnared by the curse, fearing for their lives, the Hendersons decided to rid themselves of the dollhouse. They attempted to burn it, bury it, even throw it into the river, but it would always reappear, unscathed, in Lily's room. With no escape, they consulted a medium, Madame Bellamy, who agreed to conduct a séance. Her words were a soft chant that grew louder and more forceful, filling the room with a power that was almost palpable. "Spirits of the past, bound to these dolls, release this curse and find your peace," she intoned. The house shook, the lights flickered, and then there was silence. The dolls fell to the floor, inert once more, no longer the vessels of the tormented souls. In the aftermath, the Hendersons left the town, leaving behind the dollhouse, which now sits abandoned in the attic, collecting dust. Some say the curse was lifted that night, while others believe the spirits merely lie dormant, waiting for the next curious soul to awaken them. So, as we draw to the close of this dark bedtime story, remember the dreadful dollhouse on Willow Street, where tiny hands might still grasp at the veil between our world and the next. Beware the stroke of midnight and the quiet whispers of porcelain figures. For in the world of mystery dark bedtime stories, some toys are never just toys, and some tales are far too real to simply be told in the safety of daylight. Good night, dear listener, and may your dreams be free of the restless porcelain eyes that watch from the dark corners of the dreaded dollhouse.